Welcome to Comic Shop News. I'm Dan, and today we're going to be doing the 2017 reimagining reboot of Stephen King's It. This movie was kind of weird. There wasn't a lot of hype going into it, and I remember vividly watching Collider Video one day with Movie Talk, and the first pictures of Pennywise popped up of Bill Skarsgård in full makeup. And Mark Riley and the late John Schnepp just ridiculing the pictures to no end, making goofy voices. It's one of those things where pictures don't really do justice to what's actually in the movie. But I remember there was negative publicity about this movie up till then, and a little nervous. And then all of a sudden, the first trailer came out. And the first trailer was creepy. A little jarring. It had the kids doing the dialogue. I want to say it was Stan. It was Stan or Bill. But it gave you a nice build up. There was another trailer that did the whole Betty Ripson scene. Each trailer was better than the next, and it really got people excited for it and presented a lot more of the Pennywise that was going to be in the movie instead of this silly still photo. First thing that I will say, I was not a fan of Mama by Andy Muschietti. Muschietti. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. Some people liked it. I just didn't do anything for me. Jessica Chastain is an awesome actress, though, and I love the fact she's going to be in Chapter 2. So when he took over, I was a little nervous about how this movie was going to go. That after the trailers ended very quickly. The child actors in this movie were phenomenal, and the extra scenes on the Blu-ray showing how they had them all hang out, so they actually became kind of friends to bond. It was good. It showed actually in the kids interacting. Bill Skarsgård. Again, someone else was originally cast to be Pennywise, and he ended up not doing it, and they got Bill Skarsgård, and he did awesome. He made it his own. He did not do Tim Curry, which was a great boon on this movie. He did something much more sinister and creepy. So gonna go right away into... You can't compare this movie to the 1991. You just can't, because it was a TV movie. This had a lot more freedom to work with. It presented a much more sinister Pennywise, and the beginning of the movie really shows you where and how this movie's gonna move. So to start off, we have the Denbrough house. Bill is upstairs sick. I will have a little complaint about Bill. He doesn't stutter as much. Jonathan Brandis in the original stuttered a lot more. This Bill, not so much. Minor little quibble, but Bill's sick, it's raining. Joji comes up and he wants a boat to go race down the sewer drains. So Bill tells him to go downstairs. This great scene of, Joji having to go down the basement. Every kid, at least when I was up north who had a basement, was always scared of the basement. It's always dark, it's damp, weird sounds, it's, under the house. So he manages to find the turtle wax, or the paraffin wax, and bring it up. And then Bill makes the boat. He says, you gotta name the boat. It's, all boats are she's. So Georgie goes downstairs, and he starts racing the boat. He's racing it down the street, and he runs smack into one of the road barriers, knocks himself silly, and the boat goes down the sewer drain. He goes and looks down the sewer drain, and all of a sudden these red eyes pop up underneath. And we first get our first look of Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise. And they have a little bit of back and forth. It's similar to the Tim Curry one, except for Bill Skarsgård does the creepiest thing, where he's like, "Do you like popcorn? Popcorn."
Nuts, cotton candy, hot dogs, and...
Popcorn?
Popcorn! Is that your favorite?
Uh-huh.
Mine too! Because they pop. Pop, 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 pop. Pop, pop, pop.
Georgie, you know, they do the introductions. He's like, yeah, I gotta go. And he goes, do you want the boat? Your boat's down here. You just gotta take it. So Georgie starts to put his arm down there, and we go to this insane scene of Georgie's arm is ripped out. And as he's walking away with blood pouring out of his arm, going down the drain, Pennywise's arms stretch out and then grab him and pull him under. And we go to the credits, the title card. And it jumps from there to, it's months later, and we start meeting some of the Losers Club. Eddie, played by Jack Dylan Grazer, who, if you've seen Shazam, he stole the show in that. Finn Wolfhard from Stranger Things is in it, playing Richie Tozier. The actor playing Bill, I can't remember his name, and I did a poor job right now. Wyatt Oleff, he is playing Stan. Of course, they have to make the weird questions about Stan's Jewish heritage, talking about him getting his bar mitzvah, and we start to meet our bullies. Henry Bowers, Patrick Hostetter, which, if you've ever read the books, Patrick Hostetter is one of the most frightening, troubling characters ever written in fiction. My God, look it up on Wikipedia. There's way too much to go into, but he is dressed kind of like John Travolta in Cary. It's the closest thing I can think of to compare him to. And then we meet Belch and Victor Chris, so that's Henry's gang. They're walking out, they see the police there. They're with another schoolmate's mother, Betty Ripson. She's disappeared. And we get our real first introduction of the asshole Henry Bowers. Henry is just a big bully. He's got a mullet, and that's called back at some point. And we see, he says that basically he gave Bill a free ride because of his brother, and that free ride's about to end. Takes the yarmulke off of Stan's head and throws it on a bus. Just terrible people. We also will meet Beverly. She is not well liked by the other girls in school. They all think she's a whore. They pour trash in the ladies' room stall on top of her. We also meet the new kid from Texas, Ben Hanscom. And he did something to piss off Henry. He's very studious. We find out that he is a giant New Kids on the Block fan. Gets called back a couple of times. Also, we'll cut away again, and there's a weird little theme of lambs, like lambs to the slaughter. And Mike Hanlon will meet. His parents are dead. He is basically at a slaughterhouse, and he's having trouble pulling the bolt gun between the lamb's eyes, or the sheep. It's a very interesting analogy, I guess. He has nightmares of what Pennywise gets to him at, these hands coming out of the door on fire and burning. And when he opens the door, you see the red eyes of Pennywise in the back behind this, almost like a meat market, those plastic strips. Just weird stuff. And as the movie goes on, Pennywise goes to all of them in different ways. For Ben, he's doing studies in the library about the Easter explosion, where just these kids got annihilated. Eddie, at one point, he sees a leper over at the house on Neibolt Street. The house on Neibolt Street is something big in the book. It's where all the crackheads and transients hang out, and apparently Pennywise hangs out. Also, we have Stan, who's studying for his bar mitzvah, and there's this painting in his dad's office that scares the shit out of this lady with this weird face. We later find out Richie is scared of clowns. Bill, during a rainstorm, goes downstairs and he sees something running into the basement. He goes down there and it's Joji down there. And this kid playing Joji does some of the creepiest stuff ever, where he's like, "You'll float, Bill. You'll float too. You'll float too." And see Pennywise's head raising out of the water, and he's basically working Joji like a puppet. Beverly is a very interesting character because in this they kind of go a little deeper into her dad's weird relationship with her, where it seems very molesty, and she goes in the bathroom and she's cutting her hair off. By this time she has become friends with the Losers Club because Henry had attacked Ben and started cutting his name into Ben's stomach. So she helped them basically rob the pharmacy. And we get into this thing with some of the people in town that almost all of them are creepy as fuck. There's something wrong with everybody, especially the adults. So they have the big montage of them going to these... can't say if it's cliffs, but they're in a lake and they go diving off of a cliff, and Beverly joins them, and of course they're all just staring at her because it's a girl hanging out with them. And they basically, from there, Ben starts talking about everything wrong in the town. They go to his house, and Bill at this point still believes his brother might be alive. He hasn't given up hope, and trying to see where all the disappearances, what they center around, and it's the well house. So they're going to try and find where the well house is. Everything keeps going on. They become a little bit tighter. At one point, they're riding through town, and they see Henry's car, and they also see the homeschool kid's bike. That homeschool kid would be Mike Hanlon. And Henry at this point has been chasing him down. He's been harassing Mike the whole time, telling him to get out of town. So they chase him. They're holding him down. And there's one of the scenes that it's fascinating to watch, because at one point Mike kind of just turns his head, and there's Pennywise on the side nibbling on an arm. He takes the arm and starts waving with it. And then Mike begins to get pummeled. The Losers Club gets off their bikes. You'll notice a little intricate thing there, that all of them throw their bikes down except for Stan. Stan actually puts the kickstand down every time, make sure it's perfectly aligned, which totally fits in with his character. And then we go into the great rock fight. It's a big thing in the book. It was a big thing in the 1990 show. This one seemed like a little bit more harsh. They play Anthrax during it, which is always kind of nice. Basically, we get the birth of Mike Hanlon joining with the Losers Club. Then finally, they all start talking about their experiences with seeing a clown or something. And the hunt starts to find where the well house is. It turns out the well house is 29 Niebalt Street. And as they find this out, this was a scene that I feel like the trailer ruined. The trailer did give away a lot of great epic scenes from the movie, but they had to get people excited to go see the movie, and I get it. It just seemed a little disappointing that they did it. But the slide projector, it just starts running on its own, and it shows a picture of Georgie and Bill's family, and the mother's picture starts swirling with the hair, and it becomes Pennywise, and Pennywise comes through the screen. Really interesting. And then basically Bill's like, all right, we're going to Niebalt Street. The 29 Niebalt Street scene is, to me, one of the greatest funhouse parts of this movie. Some of them get scared and stay outside. So it's Bill, Eddie, and Richie go in. Richie finds a poster saying that he's one of the missing kids and starts freaking out. Eddie ends up falling through the floor and breaking his arm. And then, like, Eddie Corcoran, who he was in the books, not really focused in there, his head pops out, starts talking about playing loogie. There's a whole room full of clowns that's in there where in a coffin is a little Richie. And then Pennywise pops out, but there's one of the clowns that's in the room is actually the 1990 Pennywise, the Tim Curry one, so that was kind of an interesting little throwback there. All this is going on, Pennywise comes out, and Eddie has broken his arm. And Pennywise comes out and starts, like, playing around, like, grabbing his arm, like, And as he's getting ready to do it, Richie and Bill manage to get into the room. And Pennywise does one of the creepiest... I wouldn't even say it's Pennywise. Bill Skarsgård's acting here, and the voice he puts on, where he's like, "Is this real enough for you, Billy? Is this real?" I can't even do it justice. I'm just going to put the clip in.
Hey! This isn't real enough for you, Billy. I'm not real enough for you.
Holy shit.
It wasn't real enough for Georgie.
And just for me, it was very effective. And Pennywise goes on the attack, and Beverly, Stan, and Ben come in, and Mike, and Beverly stabs him in the head with a piece of rebar. And that's when Pennywise starts to freak out a little bit, and he gets like werewolf claws, and he ends up clawing the hell out of Ben, which in turn, makes Richie say that he's leaking hamburger helper out of his stomach. This basically triggers, after the fact, the Losers Club to break up. Eddie's mother doesn't want him around them at all anymore. She's completely upset with all of them, and her boy's hurt. Richie just wants to live. Stan wants to live. They just want to go. Ben's kind of indifferent. Mike also was a little bit indifferent. Bev and Bill at this point have their own kind of union. Bev's, made no secret of she's kind of in love with him. Ben's in love with her. So there's that little bit of a triangle. And at this point, Bill and Richie get into a fight because Richie basically says, "Your brother's dead. Let's just all move on. And you need to accept it." Bill punches him. So they all split and go their own ways. And then we get our montage playing XTC's Dear God. I do like that throwback because I like that song from when I was a kid. Beverly has another encounter with her father at the house. She ends up waffling him with the top of the toilet tank. Pretty impressive. I gotta give her that. She knocks the shit out of him, and Pennywise pops out and pulls her and takes her and basically leaves a calling card for the kids. Bill comes in, sees it, and then starts getting everybody back together. They have to go to Niebolt Street and go get her. Pennywise at this point is making his play. While this is happening also, something in the movie that you have to watch is Henry Bauer's descent into madness. It's kind of understated, but you kind of see it during the movie with his mental well-being going down. The book goes into his descent way more. But in the movie, there is that point where his dad just finally snaps him by shooting a gun near his feet, calling him a paper man. And he's going out by his mailbox, and there's a balloon hanging from it, and it's his switchblade. And he goes in, and the TV's in there with a kid show, and it's basically telling him to kill them all, kill them all. And Pennywise pops up on the TV. There is a deleted scene that I wish they would have added, because when everything goes down, when the kids go to Niebolt Street, again to the well to go down to confront Pennywise, Henrico's in there and he's covered in blood. Well, there's the lead scene where he's in Belch's car and it shows them all dead. Henry killed them. And him and Mike have a showdown after the kids already climbed down the rest of the way. Mike manages to basically barely escape. Henry goes down the well. While this is happening, one of the most hysterical scenes that became a giant meme online, Beverly awakens and Pennywise comes out and does a dance. It introduces Pennywise, the dancing clown, and he does this dance like this. I'll put the clip in. Just unbelievably weird. And, Beverly basically says, "I'm not scared of you." And his mouth opens up and it shows her the dead lights. And she starts floating. As the Losers Club, the ones that are still out there, they make their descent. They start getting split up. Bill sees Joji and just runs off. Stan starts getting freaked out. The weird lady in the picture takes him and starts chewing on his head. And then there were things put in place to try and split them up. Ben sees Beverly, floating in the air, and he's trying to wake her up, and then he has the Prince Charming idea, and he grabs her and kisses her. She wakes up, and they recite the poem to each other. I hate the poem, I really do, but whatever. It does what it needed to do, I guess. It still didn't work for Ben. She knows that he did it, that's about it. From there, they have their encounter with Pennywise, but prior to actually showing it's Pennywise, it's Joji, and he's having this conversation with Bill. And Bill, it's he finally comes to this realization. He grabs the gun that kills the sheep, the bolt gun, and he hits Joji right in the head with it. And it becomes Pennywise and starts popping into place and getting up. And the kids start beating on him. At this point, the gun has no bolts in it anymore. But because they believe it does, Bill pulls the trigger and it hurts Pennywise. And the kids start taking turns going after him. Pennywise is turning into the different shapes. At one point, he has a praying mantis legs trying to go after Mike. It turns into Bev's dad, turns into the leper, turns into the weird lady in the picture. And they keep going on. And again, there's one of these Bill Skarsgård lines in there. Basically, he's taunting them to let him kill Bill and they can all go on. And he's like, "You can grow old like the weeds and die." And I don't know why, I just love that line.
Or you will just leave us be. I will take him, only him, and then I will have my long rest, and you will all live to grow and thrive and lead happy lives until old age take you back to the weeds.
Richie kind of is making he's accepting the offer. But he basically just tricks Pennywise enough and he attacks them and they all take turns wailing on him. Pennywise basically beats a retreat and goes away. And as the kids leave, Bill makes them do a blood promise where they cut their hands open, hold hands and promise that they'll come back if he comes back. And they show all the kids kind of in Stand By Me, splitting off in their own directions, going off on their own. Beverly's going to Portland to live with her aunt. Bill rushes after her, kisses her, and it cuts to the end credits, and then it says It Chapter 1, and then as the credits go on, you hear Pennywise's laugh, signaling it's not over. So, for my liking, I'm going to give this movie an 8. The kids acting in it were fantastic. It was a great reimagining. It had a great pacing. I never felt it slowed down enough to halt the movie. Pennywise was malicious. He was not the fun time clown that we had with Tim Curry, and that's a part I actually really like, that there was a malevolence to him. There was just this grimness. He was creepy. He had this contortioning pieces of his body, like coming out of a refrigerator. Skarsgård was probably the best part of this movie. Again, Jack Dylan Grazer and Finn Wolfhard, I thought, were the keys to this movie moving on. Sophia Lillis, who played Beverly, Marsh, she came off as being super talented, and the fact that they have now Jessica Chastain playing the older Beverly in part 2 just makes complete sense. I'm really looking forward to part 2. Are there problems with this movie? Yes and no. There are things that I thought they could have done better. Maybe a little bit more of the backstory, but that might be in part 2, about Pennywise. I can't get everything that's going to be in the book. It's just impossible to get everything that's in the book into these movies. I don't need the turtle. I really do not need the turtle. The turtle's just the stupid part, and I don't need that. But I would have liked more of Pennywise's dialogue, and maybe they'll do it in part 2 of when he actually becomes scared of the kids. He kind of has this weird dialogue that, of course, you can't have his own inner monologue, but it would have been nice to have something kind of describing that this dread now he has, where he gets to the point where he had to get Henry Bowers to start doing his dirty work for him. I love this movie. Again, I had mid to reasonable hope for the movie when it came out. I wasn't overly excited about it, but at the same time, I was really hoping that the trailers were showing how good the movie could be, and it ended up surprising me how good it was. And of course, it made a ton of money, so of course a part 2 was going to come out. And I'm excited. I love this new trailer that came out for It Chapter 2 with Beverly meeting with the old woman in her old house. This movie is a buy. Watch it. I will be doing It Chapter 2 opening night. I'm going to do a non-spoiler review afterward. It'll be more of a reaction than an actual review. But tell me what you think of this movie. I really liked it. How do you feel about Tim Curry versus Skarsgård? This is one of those happy movies for me that I wanted it to be better than the original, and it was, and showed balls to it of what it can do and what it wanted to do, building dread. So with that being said, thank you for watching. Comment, like, share, subscribe, and I will see you at the movies. Bye-bye.